in order to be loyal to my gang, I had to show that ukuthi mina eyami ngiyiphakamela.
Mara ka re hai ntho tsa di gang ga se di etse o ile wa bona.
He was a deeply pained young man. He had a lot to hide.
Each one, got to teach one. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
My name is Sonti Alpheous Lebopa. I'm a grade 12 learner from Fendel High. I grew up in a village called Botlokwa in Limpopo. I was raised by my granny. I lived with 3 siblings, which was my brothers, 2 brothers, and my sister. So nna ke khotse ke na le ditoro. So ditoro tse nne ke na le tsona hore ke kene sekolo ke tshwane le bana ba bang. So when I actually got a chance to be in a school, nalo thata because it was a different setup for me. And when I actually got to read a book, it became difficult because I was never taught how to read. The only thing that I did in my life was actually just speak. I was never told how to read. I was never taught how to write. So it was something different for me, and I couldn't adapt to what was actually going on in my life, because even playing with other children became difficult because I felt like they were too overcrowding me, as I had my own personal space when I grew up. I never had anyone telling me what to do. It became difficult with teachers as well. So teachers found it hard for them to teach me because I was disrespectful, and I actually also didn't want to learn. So Nelinte irala every day. So kukwaga mpona hore motho re sa mo fe chance hore a nne le batswadi ba hae a ka se be motho mo right, because batho ba bangata ne ba nshebile as motho o gobatsang bana ba bona, and it became a bad image for family yaka. So the only choice that ne tshantse ba etseye hore ba nkise ke ke nne le mamaka le papaka. So I get fitla mo Joburg, nearly different setup because I was never used to life here mo Joburg and how it was. So primary school was actually tough because I didn't know English. And I never had friends because whenever people wanted to be my friends, it's either that I would bully them or actually hurt them in a certain way. The friends that I got was one of the boys that I lived with in a flat. So he thought, since we go to the same primary school, how about we be friends? So we became friends, but without knowing that his influence was never going to change my life. It was just going to make things worse. So the chomte nekena le tsona ne di san ruti lo tse sharpo. Then the chomtsaka, there was a time re ya go party ya chomi ya ke nngwe. That was in grade 9. So party rile go yona, party ne ya chomi ya because we were part of a gang. So gang never part of yona, they actually made a party, a big party that they hosted, so all the gang members can be there. So I actually met the bosses of the gang. So are fitla ko party ni ke mo batho ne ba nwa byala ka ofela re nwa byala. So then wa tla moshimano mongwe, moshimano ke mo atle ko party ni when moshimano na le part ya gang yengwe. So gang yo ne sa utlwana le gang ya rona. So in order to be loyal to my gang, I had to show that ukuthi mina eyami ngiyiphakamela. So this guy was actually older than me, but he was actually surprised that I spoke to him in a certain way. So when I got to him, I asked him, umzuzu wabani lona? Then he told me ukuthi mina ngishovela ngo-6. Ila ngimtshela khona ukuthi mina umzuzu wama-28. Because obviously ama-28 ba-operator ebusuku kuphela. And ama-26 he will operate daylight. So he was actually surprised, Mutho wa bolela in this tone and in this way, and I can wait. Then obviously when he stood up, the only action that I could take is to stab him, or else I get stabbed. So it was a way of ukuthi mina ngisivikele and ngibonise namajita ukuthi eyami ngiyayiphakamisa. So ila ngikwaza lo mjita, then amajita was stopified, but ila semcimbini azange ngihulu. So lo tse mo lifeng ne ke di tshwareletse tse ngata gore batswadi ba ka ne ba sa le teng, and no sena le batho ba bang supporta mo lifeng. So I felt like I'm in the world alone. So ntse neng go batsa the most is that everything that I did right, it was never recognized. It was just something that was just fleeing. Then everything that I did wrong was always seen. So I thought, okay, since ke rantse wrong, then ke mo batho bang bona okay, motho o like o teng mo lifeng. Then I thought it's the only way that I could get the attention. But without knowing that everything that I did wrong kept on building up my portfolio actually. And also one thing that I've seen is that I kept on breaking my reputation. So every time when a person spoke to me in a certain way, I would just flip. And when I actually flipped, I would fight with the person.
Ne ke sa itse gore o joinile ntho tsa di gang, mara one day he ke dutse le ena o bolela ka bashimane ba di gang.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
Then in grade 10, that's when I actually got to meet more friends of the gang. Ko grade 10 na re ne re utswa dibeke le difounu le di-earphone le dilo tse ne re ka di rekisa. So le tse ne di rekisa le dilo tse gore a re ira tšhelete re itse gore ro patela taxi boka, then ka tšhelete e setseng re reka bjalwa, then ditšhomi tsa ka ba bona ba tsubao la ba reka dizolo tsa bona just to satisfy their addictions. So my parents didn't actually know that my son is actually living this life. This is how he is.
The police called me at game store. I was at work that time. They calling me, they say, come to Etlamo game store. Renala ngwana wa hao Sonti, ba utswitse. I start to cry. He ke la ntato mongwe wa driver re monna a ba dirile ne ngwana hao bya nong Glory. Always walla, every day go wena walla mo mosebetsing. He ke fitla go game, thola maphodisa le Sonti le ditšhomi tša hae. He ke fitla mo ba re we supposed to pay. Ha ke na tšhelete le ba utswitse dintho tša body soccer stuff.
Now I'm talking moditse gore incident e thomile so ya irala ko kae. That's why re tshotse dilo tse. Then obviously in the officer's eyes that I was part of the crime. So nearly thata cause it was something that pulled me back that I actually didn't do something, but I'm actually getting blamed for it. So ke bone gore tšhomi tsa ka, they didn't actually care about me. They just wanted me on the side just to do the wrong thing and go with the trend.
Ne ke sa itse gore o joinile ntho tša di gang, mara one day he ke dutse le ena o bolela ka bashimane ba di gang hore like ba ropa bana ba bangwe di school bag eng ene mara the way gore o bolela ka hona ka bashimane ba ke makala why a ba tseba because ba o re ba nna Cosmo City ke bolela ke ena ba nna Cosmo City mara ha ba kene sekolo ko mara ke iputsisa re batho ba nna Cosmo City ha ba kene sekolo go Fendade o ba tsebela kae mara ka re hai ntho tša di gang ka se di etse o ile wa bona.
So go grade 10 ke mo we operated with Mama Sangoma. So because we actually believed in Amasangoma, I actually ngithole amabhandi. So amabhandi la, it was actually like Sangoma's giving me muti to actually live my life. So lama pan behang siza ukula. So every time when a person spoke to me in a certain way, I would just flip. And when I actually flipped, I would fight with the person.
Ko sekolong principal always bamfonela. Ke mosebetsing. Ke a fonelwa. Appointment tomorrow 12 o'clock. E ke fitla always Sonti o tswetse di phone. Sonti o betha bana ba bangwe. Ditori tse dingata-ngata. Ke a signa. Le yena wa signa. File ya Sonti. Ne kur file ya hae. E ke shebile ne feta tsa bana ba bangwe kaofela tsona ko sekolong. Ka always afs no etsa selo ke tshwantse ke sign le yena a sign. Always ke ya sekolong ke a signa wa sign. The day into ile a fit at the end. Principal ba re monna ba ra Gloria because always re bija meeting ka ngwana ba hao. O watla. Azanga even a single day wa setle. O watla. From today go fa le phepha un signele. Sonti ntho le ngwa yetsang if you are involved for fighting, I will call the police. If he is stealing, I will call the police. Ka be ke mo principal ka re thank you.
It became tougher when I saw my mom crying. But actually when I see her happy at home, I thought everything was okay. But to only find out that she was just putting the smile just to make me happy, thinking that I will change, but I never changed. I kept on hurting my mom every time. And one thing that I'm actually grateful about is that my principal never gave up on me. If it was another person, she would have given up on me a long time.
Teacher ke motswadi wa ngwana. Because wena motswadi o tla ba o ile mosebetsing. Ngwana sentse le sekolong from 7 o'clock until 3. Ya ra re teacher ke motswadi wa ngwana ola. And a teacher e ruta bana for everything, experience ya hae, o tswa le yena byaneni ba hae. Ku wa ba guide mara bana ba rona. Na like wa kana se respect ma teacher.
Benginomngani bambiza uThepang. So uThepang beyadlalela under 17 ngo-2019. So uThepang la bamtshela khona ukuthi under 17 angeke uyidlalele because of your age. La uThepang, because I played soccer at school noThepang in the open team. So uThepang asitshela ese amajita kune club eso asambe sodlala lapho. So uThepang asithatha, that's when bathe first meeting mele sihlangane. That's when ngihlangana no Sam.
He was a deeply pained young man. He had a lot to hide, and he had a big mask on. But there would be little rays of light that would sort of pierce through the mask every now and then, that I would see that there was something so deeply pressing inside of him to create change and create connection. He felt so alone and so lost. That's how I would describe him at that point.
Lento bengenza ukuthi ngibe comfortable mengikhuluma no Sam. Ilo muntu beyangilalela. Anytime mangimfonela, mangimsendela imessage bayaphendula. That's why ngibona ukuthi okay, lo muntu enhle u serious ukuthi uyafuna ungisiza. So my turning point was the day I was pointed with a gun by one of the gang members. That's when ke mo ke bona hore motho ke gang ya ka mara o batla mpolaya. So ke mo ke bona hore anything can happen even around my own circle. So that's when I saw that this is not a life that I want to live, because anytime I can die with the people that I actually trust. It was really hard. So ke mo ke bona hore ai life I say life ya batho, because ke mo ke botse mama ka mama tsaka ampotsa hore ngwanaka di clever ka mo kaofela ba ka fasa mako no ke putse why di chomi tsa no di thomo shota no ke mo ke bona majitane ba santshelo re chomi ya mang ba ibulaile le bang tshelo ra damane tsamaile mo ke utlwa di story ha damane ba mmolaile na tshwara po. So kare as we actually dying like this, then who's next? I never knew who's next. That's when I know, what if it's me? Then matswadi ba ka batlo reng.
He wanted to appear to be someone, Like he wanted to know what was the right way to show himself and do the right things, but inside he was really blocking out like who he really was and how much he was facing, so much pain that was inside that he couldn't express it. There was a lot of regret for what he'd done in his life. He didn't want to hold on to that man anymore, but he didn't know how to overcome him.
So that's when I saw that it's either that I'm gonna make the community happy or I'm actually gonna make my family happy. I got an opportunity to apologize to these people. I apologize.
He was a very emotional young man with a deep, deep soul, like really a seeker of truth.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
So with leaving the gang, Yama Navy, Nelitata, because I actually wanted protection at that time. So one of the members told me that, nah, aksapila life you. Shebaba tuba ko grade man mara. Look at the ages, how old they are. And you still want to live that life. That's when I saw Witty, the person that brought me into the gang, left the gang. So why should I also be in the gang when he left the gang? Are they going to actually treat me how he was treating me back then? Then I actually changed the way I started living. I actually took things that were actually building me, not things that were actually breaking me. Ntse ke regreta the most mo lifeng o go batsa batho. No one came to this world or ba hlophe mo lifeng. Nna ne ke hlopha batho for main reason or ke shebiwe ke batho ba bangwe as a brave man or as a strong person. Ke ntse ke regreta. And mo lifeng ntse nka e bolela or if I would get a chance mo lifeng or ke xolise go batho ba baya nka xolisa. Because no ba bangwe ba itse mo ba nnetseng teng ba hlopheha ba re motho o mosolo so e le hlopha mo lifeng. Mara nna ntse ke tlo batla e bolela o cover I got an opportunity to apologize to these people. Ne nka apologize. And that's something that I'll live to. And that's something that I want to do in the future, to apologize to the people that I hurt. The first step that I took was change bophelo ba ka no dlala bolo le Grand Champions.
Bonare mama, ke kreile soccer engwe ka ra e Sonti nna ntho tša soccer a ke di rate botsebotse because soccer e le gore ga ona motho a eno wa family wa sports a ona mo e tla o isago o tlo no tshwana fela nna be ke nyaka gore at least o no bala dibuku tša gago o be lawyera or o be doctor something a re bo doctor ke borate ke ge growing champion e fitla mo yena a change every after school o tshwantse gore a ye practice.
Beslele one of our coaches, Simelu Coach Sam. So my coach Sam Agafia, the first question as Buze Wana, Uti, do you guys believe in God? So to me it was actually a new question. Because abantu babaningi babachela Sam Uti, okay, I do believe in God. Then ababuza ukuthi who's God to you? To me, when I got to the question, I was like, I don't believe in God. She was actually surprised that a young man doesn't believe in God. How is that possible? So she's like, take my numbers from the group chat, then we'll actually speak about this.
And he seemed to have this deep sense of need to understand things thoroughly. And as we spoke, I realized that a lot of his life had been sort of just open. There was like a freedom, but not real guidance or progression. And he was craving to understand. He was a very emotional young man with a deep, deep soul, like really a seeker of truth. And yeah, then he came into the organization and became part of it, and very quickly became a spirited person on the field. Very interested in the dynamics of the team, the personalities, who was happy, who wasn't happy, why is this happening? Very emotion driven, and I loved the way he introduced singing to our organization, to the field before we in the change rooms, and gumboot dancing and all sorts of things, and really got the spirit of the team going and joining people together. He wanted everyone to be noticed. He wanted everyone to be part of something.
The role that Grand Champion played in my life was actually giving me a lot of opportunities to actually express myself, and in the mangi to express myself, that's when I actually got to find out of the passion that I have, writing poetry. That's something that I would never take out to people and tell them that I actually write poetry. But when I got to send one of my poems to the team, they were actually surprised with lo muntu vele vele, lo muntu dala hlupheka. But I didn't have a voice by then.
Ane bene ke leboa Sonti he a change-itse bophelo ba hae, ene ke rata le a ile a kgona go tla mo shooting, maybe le bana ba bangwe ba ona ba o tshwana le yena, e be nka rata gore le bona ba ka change-a ka mokgwa le gore Sonti o change-ile from young. Ane bele o change-itse for 2 years. O thomile o change-a 2019 from Sonti boyang ba hae from grade R a le stout. Kona change ka 2019. So ke a leboa ka mogolo ro ke tshwere ka ona. Ke ikgantsha ka yena.
Sonti was able to speak because I created a safe space for him. It was one-on-one, firstly. Secondly, I listened to his story. And then I would very slowly sort of prodded into the story and helped him to think things through for himself. And as he did that, he revealed more and more. And I think honesty started to seep through. That is that's what creates real change, is when we can actually face ourselves honestly. And it's so hard when you've learned to live your life deceitfully and spend your life pretending and manipulating. I think there was a warmth there. I show respect to my growing champions because I really do believe that everyone holds gold and we're all God's children. And I think that sense of respect and actually being seen, listened to, which is what he wants to create for everybody else. I think he needed it the most. And having that opportunity where we would just have these one-on-ones, I think started to allow him to see that he could talk and he could actually start to make some changes, real changes.
So where I am right now, it's actually a miracle. A lot of people will never survive in my shoes. The steps that I took were actually hard. So a lot of people that actually disrespect teachers and don't listen to teachers, I just want to tell you that these people are here in your life to actually help you. You just have to adapt to them, and anything that you want to ask a teacher, you can ask them. They're there for you. No teacher will turn a child away. That's something that I believe. And believe in yourself. No one will believe in you before you believe in yourself.